we're at Spurrier's. He was the iconic coach, and I threw a corner route, was intercepted by the safety. So we're going to the sideline, and somebody's going to get chewed out. And we get there, and fortunately, he says to me, man, Danny, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
He said, it's my fault for putting you in the game. You're out.
We don't follow the map, we don't wait for permission, and we sure as hell don't slow down. This is Beach Weekend Unfiltered, the raw story behind building businesses, chasing opportunity, and taking risks most people won't touch. From the Gulf Coast, Key West, Bahamas, from marinas to million-dollar deals, this is entrepreneurship at full throttle. The wins, the failures, the chaos, the grind. No filter, no safety net. So buckle up, it's about to get wild.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're so glad that you joined us today. We're sitting here with a very special guest of ours, Danny Wuerffel. Jamie, would you go ahead and just introduce real quick and tell them how we got here today?
Next to me right here is the Heisman Trophy winner, Danny Wuerffel, University of Florida grad, and we're at Steve Spurrier's restaurant here in Gainesville. He was nice enough to give us the podcast room, and we wanted to share our experience today with Danny, and maybe he can give us a little background on what his successes are in life, starting from high school and football, which was actually in Fort Walton Beach, where I'm from, and my son and family are growing up there as well, and we're excited to have you here, and I'm really having a hard time focusing here. My buddy over here, Brett,
come on,
is wearing this glorious shirt.
Listen, my wife dressed me, okay?
It was really even hard to notice you had a shirt on, but the gold chain is really giving us some contrast that you do have a shirt on.
And it's got holes in it too, so you know.
It's nice to breathe. But Danny, thanks for joining us today. We're super glad to have you here, and give us a little background of you and maybe how you ended up here with me and with Brett and in Gainesville today.
Well, first of all, you talking about shirts. Jamie's the type of guy that would give you the shirt off his back. In fact, this shirt, I think, came off his back. When we were on a different trip, we actually went and watched the Gators win the national championship in basketball together.
Right.
And I got this shirt from Jamie, so I'm sporting this.
He's a generous guy. But what possessed you to want to come sit here with us today? I mean, you know this guy, and if you've seen any of these podcasts, I'm sorry, but this is what you get with me. But like, seriously, what made you want to come join us today and say yes to this and inviting us here and setting this up for us?
Well, when I think of Jamie Neighbors, one thing I think of is fun. Yeah. And so, you're going to have a fun day, and that's been the case. We've got our sons here. You can't see them, but they're off camera, so they travel with us. Just had a great day so far.
And you started with some pickleball, right?
Yep.
Started with a little pickleball, and for you guys watching, Jonah, his son's here, and Danny, we flew from Destin, Florida into Gainesville today. Got here a little before you guys did, and got a great game of pickleball in. And as you would expect, the Wuerffel name, very successful in athletics, and they're very good at pickleball.
Did he complain about his back the whole time?
A little bit, but he I tell you what, he's got the best overhand smash you'd ever see,
he sure
and
does.
like 9 of them went in the net today. So it was a good day for us. But so how we got here? So we're you guys apparently have found some pretty cool venues to do your podcast, and so he talked about what's it be a great Gainesville themed spot.
Yeah.
And Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill is just becoming a mainstay. It's got a great little museum over here. The food is great. This great podcast room. I don't know if you guys can see the cameras, all the different helmets. And so we thought we'd come here, have a great conversation, and grab some dinner.
Yeah, and we're super grateful that you opened this up to us and said yes to give a day to us to do this. So, but let's start maybe like all the way back to the Fort Walton days. Tell us a little bit about your backstory. Again, I know a lot of people know who you are, and then maybe how you ran into Jamie.
My dad was in the Air Force, so we moved all over growing up. In fact, kind of right around that time I was going to be going into high school, we almost got moved to Minot, North Dakota. Had we gone to Minot, North Dakota, maybe I'd have been like an ice fishing guy or something, but probably not football.
Yeah.
We happened to move to Fort Walton Beach, Florida, which is like, North Panhandle, Florida, high school football mecca.
Yeah.
My sophomore year, Niceville won the state championship. My junior year, Choctaw won it. And then we won it my senior year, and just a phenomenal experience being a part of that. Still great friends with some of my teammates from back then and the coach. And, that led me to the opportunity to get to Florida and so forth. It was really fast forward down the road before I met Jamie. I actually think, didn't you first meet my dad riding motorcycles in the woods?
Yeah,
something crazy like that?
Your dad, and it's probably where the athletic gene started, is going out on a dirt bike, and Danny's dad's out there. And we all take off from the woods and met some really good people. And Danny's dad was one of them. And we take off into the woods. I'm thinking I'm stuck with some older guys and thinking, man, it's going to be a long day. I'm going to be stuck here in the back. And we take off, and I don't think I saw them for 30 minutes. I got this big dust cloud, and I'm out here in the back thinking I'm hot shit, and I'm not. And it's probably equivalent to a high school athlete, a Heisman Trophy winner. And unfortunately, it's followed me to pickleball, high school athlete, and Heisman Trophy winner. So I'm very consistent in my athletic ability, and I hope those are some of the things that have propelled you in your success is hanging out with much lower talent. But yeah, just great experience in Fort Walton, meeting your dad. And through that, I obviously got to meet you and sharing some of the success that you've had. And also got to meet his son, Jonah, who's been working with us for 2 years now. And just really got to enjoy the family and know you as a person. And it's really neat for you guys out there to meet someone with this kind of success and the way that you carry yourself, not only in your success in sports, but as a human, as a friend, as a father. And I think that's what's so special about you is you've been so successful on the field, but I feel like you have even really taken that even further off the field. And it's really nice to be able to meet and see that side of you.
Well, and so many people that are watching this, like this is an entrepreneurial business focused podcast. And we're telling some of our stories of what we're doing in business. But just a moment ago, you were talking about success, and success really, a lot of people have different definitions of what that is. And obviously with your football career, college football, pro football, and then, moving into the things that you're doing now, like your definition of success is something that may be different from an entrepreneur that's watching this today. But talk to us a little bit about like what has always driven you. And maybe that's changed over the years. Maybe that changed from the Fort Walton days to the Gainesville days to now the Atlanta days. Paint that picture of success, because it does come in all shapes and forms and means different things to different people.
I've always been very competitive. Whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to be excellent at it. So I'd want to figure out the ins and outs of it and whatever it is. I think when you're young, some of the definitions of success are given to you. It's your grades. A lot of people look at that. Or if you play a sport, how do you do in your sport? And then as you get older, some of that changes. But to me, I think it's often an unthought of question. You just sort of take for granted what you think is successful, what your society or your culture or people around you, and you just sort of adopt that. And it may or may not be the thing that truly is your passion or what makes you happy. And I think, whatever you do, you want to be excellent. And so I really think everyone, whatever you do, like be the best you can. And there's no shortcuts. Like we live in a world where everything's trying to have the technology and the shortcuts and everything can be fast and quick. But no matter what you're doing, we're playing pickleball right now, but there's shots that you just have to practice over and over and over if you want to be good at them.
Right.
A lot of people loved the way we would throw these fade routes and corner routes to Chris Doring and Ike Hilliard back in the day. But what they didn't see was the 5 million reps we did in the off season to get good at that.
Right.
I can't lift my arm anymore because I got arthritis in my shoulder because we did so many reps. But to me, really most people would define success as you get older a lot based on your money, the money situation. How much money are you making? How successful are your businesses or what you're doing? But to me, I like a different word. I think along with success, there's another word that I love called significance.
Yeah.
And to me, success is more of kind of what you're doing to be excellent at what matters to you. But significance is the difference you make in the world to make it better for other people.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be an either or. It's not a one-sum game where like I get mine or you get yours. It's not like there's one piece of steak and it's like I'm going to get it or you're going to get it.
Right.
It's like how can we cultivate a farm where we all get steak?
Yeah.
And how can we make life better for more people on our journey as we're trying to be successful? And I think too many people don't even start asking that question until they get to be 45, 50, 55 years old. And a lot of times you have a lot of regrets because you were so driven to be successful somewhere and you realize you didn't get to see your kids.
Yeah.
You didn't get to develop friendships and your marriage is struggling, but you may have plenty of money, but what that's doing for you.
So as a 21, 22-year-old, college football player, you reached the peak of that, right? Like that definition of success, I'm assuming where you're at now, that's morphed a lot, right, in the past 25, 30 years. How did you handle the type of success that you had, especially like in the eyes of just everybody watching you as a football player? And then when did that shift to become to now you're more concerned about significance?
Early on in my career, we're at Spurrier's. He was the iconic coach, and I threw a corner route. The receiver cut the route a little bit flat, at least I thought. So the ball went over his head and was intercepted by the safety. So we're going to the sideline, and, of course, somebody's going to get chewed out.
Yeah.
And we get there, and fortunately, he says to me, "Oh, Danny, don't worry. It's not your fault." Or, of course, in more spirit of Spurrier, be like, "Oh, man, Danny, it's not your fault."
Yeah.
He said, "It's my fault for putting you in the game. You're out." So, I had a coach that was keeping me humble through all this stuff. Another thing is I had some really good friends that were not involved in football. So I'd be spending time with people that weren't so obsessed with the football story. That helped me kind of be normal. There was a family, I remember having a meal at their house after throwing 6 touchdowns against Alabama on a Saturday, having a Sunday meal, and I get up to leave, and the mother of the house like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Well, we were going to," she's like, "Clean your plate like everybody else."
I love it.
I don't care how many touchdowns you threw. I had people in my life like that I think really helped me. And then to me also, as a Christian, really trying to be authentic to my faith, and what I sense the Bible's saying is that, it doesn't matter whether you're a starting quarterback or whether you had a great game or a bad game, that your worth was not in what you do, that there's an inherent worth being created in the image of God. And so I think just the faith part, along with friends and other people and the coach, helped sort of kind of keep me grounded at the time. But I was driven to be the absolute best that I could be, just very, very obsessed. I threw probably more footballs than one should throw.
Yeah.
That's why my shoulder's broken. But I think just over my lifetime, I was always asking those questions, is like, what matters? What's most important? And it was always pushing me to think about, how can I help someone else? So when we go to New Orleans, I'm drafted. I know I'm going to play football, but I'm also asking the question, like, what else should I be doing while I'm here in New Orleans that's broader than football, that's bigger than football? And just by asking those questions, you'll end up finding places if you ask the right questions.
And it goes back to, like, once we depart from this earth, like, you can't take football with you. You can't take the trophies with you. You can't take the success with you. But the significance of, well, who did I take with me? Who is alongside this journey? So it's like a lot of people, they may look at my life, and it doesn't really matter really what I say. It matters what I do, right? You're saying that significance comes from how we live our life, the actions, and what people see. Jamie, I think, exemplifies this so well, because so much of his life is pouring into people, whether it's employees or business opportunities. And this is a guy he's not necessarily always just worried about, in fact, never is worried about the money. It's more of like, well, that'd be nice to have, but we're going to do the right thing. We're going to do this project with the best integrity we know how to do at the time. But these types of things are what allow us to have significance and longevity, where people say, no, they're actually walking out what they say. And you can preach a sermon real quick and everybody forgets it. But at the end of the day, 30 years of doing what you've done, I think really, that the proof's in the pudding. Right?
Well, I heard this great quote. I loved it. You can fake caring, but you can't fake showing up. Like, and there's certain things. And to me, I think about your time, your talents, and your money, your treasure. Time, talents, and treasure. We all have those. And if you look, like, where is your time going? Where are your talents? We all have different talents that we're using, and we all have whatever money that we have, small or more. But, like, how do we leverage those things? And usually they're all sort of focused on us or our family. And to me, the significance is when we can start spending those things to help and impact other folks. That's where the magic happens.
Yeah, and I think, coming in the athletic world, I think it's difficult comparing the athletic world to the business world, where a lot of the athletes coming out of college, with your success, going into the professional sports world, from a financial aspect, a lot of these young kids are at their peak financially at a very young age, right? And the business world, there are some people that have had success early, but it's usually a longer runway to get there. So I think, from us on the outside, I think it's almost a disadvantage to a lot of these young kids that hit that peak of success early, and to maintain that, or like you said, turning that success into significance as they get older is really difficult, because a lot of friends that we have that were professional athletes get out of their career at a young age. They had some celebrity status, they had some multi-million-dollar contracts. They're thrown into the real world at a young age, and a lot of them have a really difficult time adapting from, they're not in the spotlight. Those big weekly and monthly checks aren't coming in. How do they restart their life so they do get that feeling of reward and success? And that's where, you've seen a lot of athletes really struggle financially, trying to portray an image that they feel is really who they are. And I think it's hard for them to reestablish that, hey, just because you're not on TV, you're not signing autographs, you're not getting those $1 million contracts as a 25-year-old, you still are significant in this world.
That's right.
But it's very hard for those guys, the few that we've been associated with, to retransition back into the world and really feel like they have a purpose, because a lot of that purpose and meaning was because they were on TV. They had that success. And when that was gone, a lot of those guys really struggled. Some have turned to alcohol, drugs, and really was a hard time to reintegrate into society and feel like they are contributing, they are successful, and they have a hard time with it because they're not getting that check or they're not getting that autograph anymore. And I think what you've done is kind of been the opposite. You've taken the success at an early age and basically achieved everything anybody could in the sports world, and continued building that through all of the missions and the processes that you've put together outside of football. So it's really neat to see that, and I hope people watching can really put some thought behind that, hey, just because you're not getting that million doesn't mean you're not successful, doesn't mean you don't have a purpose. And to see what you've done and continue to do at your age, which is probably a little older than the rest of us.
I wouldn't joke. That older person just sort of handed it to you.
Hey, well, like you said, he's bringing lower competition around him, so it does make him feel good about it.
I think you're right. Like the statistics of I can't remember, at one point it was 85% of NFL players within 3 years when they retire were unemployed, divorced, or bankrupt. Just the struggle. And you think about when we're in junior high, we're all trying to find an identity and figure out where we fit in and make a name for ourselves. Well, most of these guys, it was they're the football player.
Yeah.
And it sort of trumped everything else. You get to high school, and then you're the stud, and then you make it to college, and you're a stud. And if you're good enough to get it to the NFL, you're like the cream of the. But you also look at that, you're 25, 30 years old, and for the last 20-ish years of your life, that's been your identity, and then one day it's gone. It's a very difficult thing for a lot of people. But I think, one of the things I love, there's a quote in my office. It says, look at your life, everything you've accomplished, and say, hey, that's a good start. Now let's get on with it.
That's right.
And I love that. And one thing I love about you, Jamie, is you don't ever just find one thing and get it going and sit and let it roll. You're looking to learn the next thing, even just doing this podcast or starting the coffee stuff or different branding. You love to learn, you love to take the next challenge even though you could fail. And I think that's an incredibly unique gift set to have, and I would imagine one that entrepreneurs really need to have, because by nature, if you stick on the one thing, you're no longer an entrepreneur.
And it's interesting, you talk about success in monetary terms. What percentage? It's most of the billionaires don't even reach that status till they're their mid-60s, right? And so we're at this place right now where everything that we're doing, everything you're doing, you're learning from the past experiences. And you don't stop. You just keep growing. You learn something along the way, and then you take that. And we've talked about this in a lot of the podcasts now, of take the things that we've learned, the experiences, and then the new opportunities that you have in the future. It's not necessarily that they're easier, but you definitely come to a place and a point where that experience propels you into some new opportunities that you probably wouldn't even engaged in had you not, had some of the failures along the way. And I think that's something that every entrepreneur listening, everybody that's starting a business, measure your life based on somebody else next to you. Run your race, right? But at the same time, while you're running your race, don't quit, because all those things in your past are what propel you into the future. And I think for all of us, we're all going to look back one day and probably say the most significant times of our life were probably the later years, because of the wisdom that you gained through all the experiences. And so I think that's something that's notable, and you're obviously carrying into the types of work that you're doing now.
Well, I think that you also hit on something that I think is huge. Like, it's not just the wins, it's the losses. In fact, you learn more when you lose a football game than when you win. Like, you really reflect and like, what can we do to be better? And I really think, when I look at my life, there's been some incredible highs with trophies and championships. There's been some incredible lows. We went through Hurricane Katrina. We lost everything we had. 15 years ago, I had a weird autoimmune disorder, and I was like paralyzed for a couple of weeks, and then tired for a year, and multiple other. But it's the challenges in so many ways that build who you're going to be.
Right.
And nobody likes to fail or lose, but those are critical part of our story. And I think to embrace, to learn all those things make us better for the next thing. We, as a football team, we're undefeated my junior year, probably the best football team Florida ever had. We go to play the national championship. We thought we were hot stuff, and we got smoked by Nebraska.
Yeah.
But we learned some things, and we made some adjustments. And even though we were probably not overall as talented a team my senior year, we were much more prepared to play that last final game, and the way we prepared that week for a bowl game, and we beat our nemesis Florida State 52-20. So I think that the losses matter too.
And putting that into perspective in business is you set up a business, and if it's doing very well, and you're moving on to the next business, and if that business isn't doing well, it really takes your focus to the business that's not doing well. And it's almost like a loss that, hey, your focus level on the loss for the guys that are successful seem to be much more focused in on, hey, I need to put my attention here. We need to fix this. And it's not that you can't fix it. Some of them you can't, some of them you can, but a lot of it is detail, is getting into the weeds and really trying to dig into details, figure out what we can do better. And that's the same with life. You get into a relationship that, maybe you've put that on the back burner for business or for sports, and you start to realize along the way that, hey, this isn't working as good as it should. And there's two different personalities. There's the guys that cut and run. Maybe they lose and they quit, and then you got the guys that say, no, I'm going to put the effort in. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to make it right. I'm going to practice more. I'm going to throw more balls. Those are the guys that succeed, and those are some of the things that you don't see is how many passes that you practice. Like you said, you see the 2 touchdowns or the 4 touchdowns you throw in the game, but what you didn't see was the one you missed on the first game, and the next 2 weeks, the 5,000 you threw to get to those next two
That's
or
right.
three. And I think that's the significance in real life and in business, that you were able to do that through sports. Some of us were able to do it through business. Some of us were able to do it through family, and that's what really sets success apart. And like you said, it is tying it to significance and really trying to define who you are. And going back to the sports connection, that the guys that have that success, how do we take that? How do you package that up so that somebody listening can take that and be successful in life? And hey, you may not make another $1 million the rest of your life, but you are successful. You are significant.
That's
You've
right.
got a great family, and your priorities shift as you get older. And some of that's with maturity. And the young guys listening, that, if they could really understand what we're talking about and be okay with, graduating from the pros or graduating from the fame and the big contracts, and really getting yourself into a position to be successful and not necessarily measured by money. And I think you've done a fantastic job of carrying yourself outside of football, continue to be significant with family, with the foundation, and a lot of other things that do take a lot of time. And it may not be the biggest financial reward that opportunities that are out there for you, but you've done it because you believe in it, you're passionate, and it fits, who you are. And I'm sure you get the feeling of being successful and significant at the same time.
And one of the
Hey, Brett, really, before you get started, I don't think it's fair if we get started without talking about your shirt again. Danny, I like that shirt. I mean, this one's not bad, but that shirt right there reminds me of Grandma's house.
Hey, I listen. Come on, like,
You know when you go in someone's closet and they have those stand-up half mannequins, and I could just see that shirt laid on, a little muscle.
I wasn't even ready.
Mothballs coming out of the shirt.
Like we've been kind of getting a little sappy here, like getting really deep, and then here you are, back to the shirt. So
oh God, I got to get that out. That's kind of my way of focusing. Is that sometimes I hold it in for so long, and I get to a point where I just can't hold it in any longer.
Should I change shirts real quick? Will that help you?
I didn't know you had one on.
Oh, God.
All right, get back into the serious stuff. Let's go.
Yeah, let's be authentic again.
Like
That shirt is very authentic.
so,
Going back into authenticity,
back
and
into
starting with what you wear. Let's go ahead.
At least I'm rolling with it, man. I
Let's
love
go.
it. So, we're talking about significance, and one of the things that's drawn me to you in your story is we've already talked about this a little bit, but like you're not defined by just the success that you had yesterday. But again, some of those things that we learn, whether it's positives or failures, we carry those into the future. And so even right now, like you're doing what you believe is the right thing to do, the thing that you're called to do, the thing that's your purpose to do. And how important it is, like if you're starting a business, or if you're operating a business, looking down into the future and saying, what am I really created for, right? Like, what's the thing that I'm supposed to do with the success that I had? Or what am I supposed to do with the stories of the successes that I had? For you, example, like taking that platform of being a Heisman Trophy winner, it didn't stop there for you. Whereas what you're saying is a lot of guys, that's where it kind of ends. They struggle with that identity crisis of, oh no, that's gone. But you haven't done that, and you've propelled, and now you're running a ministry out of Atlanta. You've been doing that for how many years now?
Since I started volunteering in '97 and started being on the staff in '04.
And so then after Katrina, you guys moved to Atlanta, and this is what you're doing primarily full time now. Can you talk to us a little bit about that purpose, that significance, and how you're just like authentically living that out today?
Yeah, I think you want to look where there's some intersections. What are you passionate about? Like what really gives you energy? That's a great question. Like where do you find, your mind wants to wander when you're not occupied with doing something else.
That's right.
Like where's your energy? What are you kind of good at? Like what are you naturally good at? What are your talents, And so that's another question. So you're looking for intersections, Part of my value system was also, how can you help the most or help certain people that need help? And so kind of looking for those intersections. And when I went to New Orleans, I was looking for something to be a part of. I had no idea what that would be. And, again, we said this a couple times, but I think, asking the right questions at different points of your life is so key. And I think if you're not asking the right questions, you might not ever do these next steps. But for me, it was like, what's something I can be a part of? So I was looking, and you could call it fate, randomness, coincidence, sovereignty. Multiple things, a brochure in the mail, 2 other people I didn't know asking me, have you heard of this thing called Desire Street Ministries? And I was like, and finally, after multiple things, I'm like, I'll go check it out.
Yeah.
And Danny, the timeline on this, were you still playing for New
So
Orleans?
this was my rookie year, 97 in New Orleans. So I
So
just
you were
get to
actually
New Orleans.
even looking for things to contribute while you were playing football. at a high
Yeah.
level.
It was just part of kind of the things that were implanted in me, kind of from my family, I think from my time in college, growing as a Christian. So that when I went to New Orleans, I was like, I'm here to play football, but I'm also like, what am I going to be a part of to make a difference?
So you already had that identity thing resolved, that it wasn't like, okay, football, now what do I do? It's, no, this is who I am. And so you've carried that with you your whole career.
Yes, but I would say it's always in process, and every week is a new week, and you kind of got to relearn that. But I mean, I remember being in college, thinking, okay, I'm playing for an audience of 1, and it's not Steve Spurrier, it's not the thousands of fans, it's God. Like, what am I living my life? Am I doing the best I can in a way? And whether I throw a touchdown or interception, that's not going to matter.
Yeah.
But recognizing that, here's a story that I want to share. Just, it might take a minute, but I think it really helps define me. So like, when you're successful, you might start a podcast, or a lot of times people want you to write a book. And so shortly after my time at Florida, I was approached by this company about writing a book about like, what's the Wuerffel way to be successful? And so I came up with some ideas, and they're like, those are great ideas, but like those are everybody's ideas. You got to find something that makes your story distinct. What makes you stand out. I started thinking, like, what about my life was unique that may have helped me be a clutch player, come through when it mattered, and I started recognizing that, we all have like different voices in our head.
Right.
But I could remember key moments of my life, what the voice was saying. So I could remember, for instance, being in first grade, getting ready to run the 100-yard dash at field day. And all that mattered to me, talking about identity, was to win the blue ribbon.
Right.
But what I remember was for like a week, this voice saying, Danny, you are so fast. You're the fastest kid. You are so fast. So I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I remember taking a test like third or fourth grade. I don't know the answer. I decided to do some creative research. The girl next to me was really smart, so I was starting to like check out her paper. But this voice hits me and says, Danny, you are a good kid. You're a smart kid.
Yeah.
Don't cheat.
Is that a voice that you, like on your iPhone, you can kind of give a really sexy accent? I mean, can you give us what that voice was?
Yeah, no. But,
hello, Danny. You are very fast.
I would be probably more distracted if it was a sexy voice. But I was like, but I noticed, like, who would remember that? And then I remember in high school, I was playing basketball. After we had won the state championship, I go right to play basketball. We get all the way to the regional finals. We're playing against a team in Tallahassee. They weren't a great team, but they had one player who was 6'6", 280, went on to play 13 years of O-lineman in the NFL, and he got every rebound. So they were hard to beat. But our coach says, hey, we've got a strategic plan to beat this team. It's called a box-and-one defense. If you know anything about basketball, you play 4 people in a box zone and one person plays man-to-man. And we're like, that's brilliant. And he said, Danny, you're the guy to cover this guy. I'm like, Goliath? No. Well, once the thing captured, I remember the voice saying, Danny, you are so strong. You got this. I remember walking down our home and I remember thinking, am I going to open the door to the bathroom or am I going to kick it open? Because like I remember that story. So we're getting ready to play this game. And right before we go to the locker room to get ready, because you watched the game beforehand,
you hear this voice. Hello, Danny.
Their team. No, this voice was different because their team walked by. I had never met this guy, but he knew I was a quarterback, and he stops, looks up in front of the whole fans, and points at me, and he said, "Quarterback is going down." It was not sexy. It was terrifying because it's like huge and like. But the voice. Not the sexy one.
Hello, Danny.
This says, you are so strong.
Right.
First shot that goes up, I get underneath his leverage, box him out, past the free throw line to the three-point line. Second shot goes up. I had to get lower. I box him back. He starts saying these words that started with F, got a technical foul. I made both free throws. I obliterate this guy the whole game. And I remember maybe it's because I had figured out how to talk to yourself in a way that would make you excel more than others.
Right.
So that was going to be the book, right? I had it figured out. Now, if I were to write this book, there would be one chapter about that because I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
But the whole story got even more interesting because the kid that's sitting here, Jonah, when he was born, my mom came to help. You know how sometimes grandparents help with the babies?
Yeah.
God bless the grandmas especially. One morning I woke up and I'm walking by the nursery and my mom must have heard Jonah fussing, and so she was in there holding him. And I walk by, and this is what I hear. Jonah, you are such a good boy. You are so strong. You are so smart, and I love you. And I'm walking by, and I'm like, where have I heard that before? I'm walking back again, and she's like, Jonah, oh my gosh, look at you. You've got the strongest eyelids from any little kid I've seen. And he's like this and his eyes about like this. And she's like giving him this praise. And I'm like laughing. And I come back 10 minutes later and he's in there and she's like, Jonah, I love you so much. You are such a good boy. You're so smart.
Yeah.
You're such a good kid. And I love you. And now I start crying.
Yeah.
Because I realized that voice that I vividly remember impacting me wasn't my own. It was my mom. It was my dad. It was the people that poured into me. And I ultimately believe it was the voice of God speaking through them before I thrown a touchdown or interception saying, that's not what makes you important. What makes you important is you're my kid and you are mine. You're created in my image and that is who you are and that's your value. And so like this whole thing has been stirring and shaping me. And I've shared this story multiple times, and most people like love it. And then one day, years ago, this guy came up with tears in his eyes, but he wasn't happy tears. He's like, I heard voices too. They're very different than that.
Wow.
And I still hear them. And it hit me like this whole cycle of how life works is, I believe some of us are very blessed, maybe more than others, just even by the zip code we're born in, the color of our skin, or whatever dynamics it is. And we get people that pour into us, but it's not just for us. So that we can pour into others. And so a lot of that has shaped why I do what I do, because when I get to New Orleans, I'm kind of introduced to an entire a group of people that live right near the Superdome, where we won the national title, where I'm playing professional football, and it's a very different world than I grew up in. And there's people that really have a lot of needs, and so that sort of is what led me to get involved with Desire Street.
That's incredible. Basically, what you're saying is like those strong voices of positivity that through your parents and your upbringing, and you saw that in Jonah's life, like that got so deep, like in your subconscious, right? And through that, God's Spirit like is continuing to perpetuate and speak to you through all these, significant moments that prepared you for where you're at today. And that's something that I don't think you can discount. I've got a story real quick. I had great parents, and they spoke a lot of positive things in my life. They spoke me God's word. But I was in Eastern Ukraine on a missions trip. It's probably 15 years ago. And we're in the church service, and there's a band playing a song, and I don't know anything of what anybody's saying, but I started hearing a voice similar to what you're saying. And it sounded a little Russian, though, because, Eastern Ukraine speaks Russian. And the voice I kept hearing was like a young girl's voice. And she kept saying, "You're a good daddy." No, listen.
Just wait.
Listen. And then she says, "You're a very good daddy."
Stop. Okay. Let him finish his story.
Let him finish. This is good. Okay. And so I'm thinking, I'm like, at this point, I've only got like one kid, so I don't know if I'm that good of a dad. But so I look up on the screen, and it goes to English, and there's this song, Chris Tomlin, you're a good father. You're a good father. But the interpretation was, you're a good daddy. And I'm like, that's pretty awesome. Like, kind of sounds nice too.
Brett, we typically try to keep those bedroom stories probably private.
No, but all jokes aside, like, I mean, the power of those things like that we've been fortunate to have because of a good upbringing, a good family. Not everybody has that. And so many people, the voices that are deep in their subconscious are not the things that propel them to success. They're not the things that propel them to significance. And I think that's where like part of our roles today in the different arenas of life that we live in is like, what voices are we impressing upon our kids? What voices are we impressing upon the people that are employed by us? Or maybe that you're serving on the streets of Atlanta and Desire Street Ministries, and taking that. I mean, it's a funny story talking about a little Russian girl. Obviously, you're a good daddy, and I like the way that sounds and all. But no, the what you're saying though is so powerful to impacting the world around us, and it really does start with our words.
No, I think that's great. And I think Toby Keith really must have felt those words with his song, Who's Your Daddy? So it's really neat. We can all bring this back together through country music.
Through country music, through Christian music, through Russians saying, you're a good daddy.
You're a good daddy.
So, I'm sorry to get this
It's
off
going
track.
to take me a minute to recover, but I wasn't expecting that voice to come from you in those words.
You liked it?
And even kind of the mob boss shirt with Who's Your Daddy? I mean, it's... But no, that's an awesome story, and like Danny, what you're working on for the children out there that don't have that love and caring in nature, for you and your ministry to be able to provide that opportunity for other children and other kids out there that aren't as lucky or fortunate as we were growing up, and talking about the bigger parts of success and significance, much far outreach any of the trophies, I'm sure, any of the rings. That's why we're here, and that's the good out of doing what you're doing. And it's just neat to watch somebody in your shoes be able to give back and really give you meaning and purpose. But, even more giving these kids maybe that voice when they need it, and maybe fix some of the background noise that they have, and give them an opportunity to succeed.
So, transitioning from that just a little bit, like you're Danny Wuerffel, the Heisman Trophy winner. But how do your kids view you like now? Like what is that? I'd like to hear a little bit about that, because obviously you've impressed upon them these same things that you're talking about, of positivity, of good influence, of the words that empower and so forth. But then at the same time, you're a dad. And sometimes you just got to whip your kid's ass every once in a while, right? Like at the pickleball court today.
Yeah.
And so talk a little bit about that, like in maintaining that level of investment in your kids, but at the same time, that transition from the success there to now being successful as a parent.
Well, first of all, I think, it's easy to kind of overhype anybody and who they are. And I had a lot of good voices growing up, and I had a lot of great things going on. Had some bad voices too, and I've had a lot of shadow work to overcome, and there's a lot of craziness in who I am, and there's strengths and weaknesses. And so, the people that experience those the most are your family.
Yeah.
And, I remember one time my wife saying something. I'm like, well, don't you know I'm the most humble person? They ask all the Gator fans, I'm the humblest guy in the world. And she's like, not here right now, you aren't.
That's right.
And so I think your family keeps you humble.
Yeah.
You try to pass along who you are, and I think you have dreams and so forth for your kids, but they have to find their own path.
Yeah.
And they've got to define each thing, and hopefully they see things in you that they might value, that they want to incorporate into their life. But you just can't force it. You can't force your kid to be a football player, which I didn't ever really want to do that or anything like that. I know people that did, and it just didn't work out well. But it'd be a good question to ask them if only one of them were close by. The other day, a funny thing happened. We when the Gators won the national championship in basketball, my son Jonah was here in Gainesville in the O-Dome, where they just had this massive party, and then the party spilled over to University Avenue and it went nuts. And he's like, that was one of the greatest moments of my entire college career. And he goes, and guess what? Like, I finally get it. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you were Walter Clayton. And it's like, oh, I see what you're saying. Like, because he wasn't around for any of that and so forth. But I remember I was speaking at a church, and I was talking about something about how life isn't about just money. And I'm like, nobody here would put your hand up if you thought life was just about money, right? Like, who would honestly say life's about money? Right. And only one hand went up, and it was Jonah's. So, you're trying to pass these things along, but they're on their own journey.
That's
and
right.
I couldn't be more proud of where they are at each point. Everybody has their highs and lows, but I do think kind of the real measure of who you are is the people that know you the closest. I remember when I was a kid one time, I was doing something and bothered my sister and my family, and they got all upset. And I remember thinking to myself, like, well, they just don't really know me. I'm a really nice person, and the people at school who know the real me know that these people. It's like, oh no, this is your family. They know the real you. They know the good, the bad, the ugly, and hopefully they give you some grace.
I love it.
Do you think it's almost, in some aspects, a challenge, or makes it more difficult for your children to grow up with your success? Is it some of an overshadowing that they're feeling like maybe they're not going to live up to you? Is there any pressures that you think they feel that you had to kind of translate and navigate, that they are successful? They don't have to win the trophy to be as good as dad. That, those are some challenges from the outside that probably most people wouldn't think of, that could be difficult. That, hey, you're Danny Wuerffel's son. Hey, no, I'm actually your son. I'm Jonah. I'm not, yes, I am Danny Wuerffel's son, but I am a person too. That, hey, everybody relates it to your success. And I think those are some real life challenges that maybe they do feel growing up.
Yeah, I mean, we've thought about that a lot. I think one of the reasons we moved to Atlanta and didn't move to Gainesville or some big place in Florida was to try to, for both us and for our kids, to not live in a place where that was the predominant narrative.
Yeah.
And I've tried to, always encourage them to do whatever, but they didn't have to play football, but they had to do some activity, and as long as they were trying their best. I think the other aspect is, when you're kind of known publicly for being a good Christian guy, that helps people, I think that put some pressure on your kids too. Like, it's not just you have to win the trophy, but now, like, if you want to go be an entrepreneur and make money, does that mean you're selfish? Well, no, not necessarily.
Yeah.
I think, it may or may not.
Right.
But so that's, something that, hopefully as they grow up, they'll have good things to say about that. But,
and the other side to that, in the entrepreneurial world is it is okay to leverage the dad being a Heisman Trophy winner on your opportunity to meet more people that maybe you wouldn't have met, or open doors that you wouldn't have opened because maybe you wouldn't cross paths with some successful people. So I think there is some benefits there. Obviously, there's some difficulties probably, but the big things in life is relationships, and that's why how we met, and to open those doors in the entrepreneurial world, to be able to share those with your kids is something that's special, and to leverage those relationships and open doors that may not have opened prior to, or because of who you are. So I think there is some neat things that could propel you maybe a little quicker, that those relationships may have organically happened, but maybe not as quickly. And I think it's a great opportunity for people out there that, in the business world, that, treating people kindly and holding yourself to a higher standard, even treating your teammates or your high school friends, that one day, those guys may be knocking on your door, or you're knocking on their door. Hey, you remember me? I'm looking for a job, or let's partner on an entrepreneurial venture. So you never know the people that you come in contact, what that relationship looks down the road. But I think carrying yourself in a manner and the way that you were brought up, and the way that hopefully our kids are brought up, is that you can respect and have some confidence in growing up, and you never know when those opportunities come. And when they are there, hopefully you're in a position to take advantage of and really leverage, who you are, and open those doors.
And I think too, significance, success, like, it is a burden, right? I mean, Jesus even said, like, to those, too much is given, much is required, right? So you don't take that lightly. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It doesn't mean that you're going to make all the right decisions, but there is something now that I'm responsible for because of the opportunities that I was giving. And I think that's where the significance comes out of realizing that what I'm doing is for something so much bigger than what I probably even understand, and it goes back to with my kids, one of the things, and I'm sure Jamie's going to have something funny to say about this here in a second, but we're just going to go here. But
can we do the Russian voice again?
You are a good daddy. But yeah, so my boys, though, one of the things that I've got 6 of them. And so one of the things that I've really impressed on them is, and I always tell them this, even Judd, several times a week, I'll ask them, hey, why am I so proud of you? And they'll respond, because I'm your son. That's it. And I just think that's important for them to know that, hey, I'm proud of you just because you're mine. Like, you don't have to succeed in anything other than just being my son. Now, hopefully you make some good decisions and don't cause mom and dad more heartache and the world pain, right? But I do think there's the power of the words that help our kids know, and not just our kids, but the people that we work with, letting people know that they're good like they are. Maybe we don't want everybody to stay right where they're at, but we're on their team. We're on their side. You don't have to perform at any high level just for me for you to be validated or for you to feel loved by me. So, I think I've seen that, obviously, getting to know Jonah with your family and your kids. You've had some of those same things where, you're willing to take that burden on you of success because you've got the right mentality of how it's directed. And it's directed towards, well, now I've got something I've got to do with it, right?
Yeah, no, that's very
well,
good.
Let's get into something that's some pretty good talk, but let's talk about some funny stories in football. I mean, there's got to be some good stories you want to share that maybe, we got kids in the room, but it would be nice to hear some funny stories with Steve, or in the pros, or high school, or what's some good moments that just always are funny to remember, or kind of move back on.
Oh man, the best one, obviously, we shared earlier, where Coach Spurrier, I just like this little quip. It's not your fault, my fault for putting you in there. So we do that one a lot. I mean, he is a very unique guy because he's brilliant in some ways, but then he couldn't ever get back in the day, you didn't just push a button for the projector to go down. You had the whiteboard, and then you had to pull the projector down and get it to stick.
Right.
And like
Too hard.
he's 0 for 400 in my career there.
That would be Jamie. You should see him with a computer.
For the record, I did buy a computer this year, and I got my email set up, and
You haven't opened it since,
I
right?
was really excited. I put a password on it, and
don't remember it.
First month took me a while to get into it, and I've got it where I've got it dialed in, and I officially handed off to my son, who really needed tutoring, which you probably got that from me. So that's great. We got a tutoring tool, my computer's set up, and that's about as far as I made it on the computer.
Oh, that's funny.
Quick overview of Desire Street and the Wuerffel Foundation. I kind of got into the other story there, but
So let me segue that real quick. Okay, so Spurrier, he can't get the projector screen down, but so you've learned a few things from that over the years of, okay, now I got to get good at some of the things that maybe I'm not, like, isn't in my DNA. So how have you transitioned, like, learning some new things with Desire Street Ministries? Because, again, this is completely opposite from football, but what are you doing today?
yeah, well, I wanted to just help out at Desire. And I was amazed by the people running it and what it was doing, and had a vision to grow into new neighborhoods. So Desire Street's actually a street in New Orleans. A Streetcar Named Desire is a famous play. But it's also, the Desire neighborhood was home to the second largest public housing project. At one point, it was rated the worst neighborhood in the country to live. And that's where Desire Street Ministry started in 1990. So I came in 97. Just wanted to help out. Was just amazed. The valedictorian at the public high school usually didn't pass the ACT. So like, you do your best in your environment. You're smart, beautiful, wonderful kids, and they're just not getting the same education that we had gotten, and for all sorts of different reasons. And just so I just wanted to help out, and really fell in love with the vision to see this grow. But then Katrina hit. It kind of washed out everything we were working on. Our founder resigned. I stepped in kind of to be the leader, and we rebuilt everything in New Orleans. We took care of all the kids that we had at that point all the way through high school. But then they were like, how can we grow? So, we thought it was going to be like a franchise model. But what we found was there were leaders in almost every neighborhood, every nook and cranny in the country. There's usually somebody there that has been there, that loves their neighborhood, that's doing stuff. They're just usually underfunded, undertrained, under-resourced, but they're just doing great work. So we flipped our model to supporting leaders that are already there.
Existing.
So there was a flop. I know a lot of entrepreneurial things is you start in one direction and you realize maybe this isn't, and you have to pivot.
Right.
Well, that was a big pivot for us. And it's just been an amazing journey. So in the past 5 years, we had a goal to impact 20 neighborhoods, and we actually hit 27 in the past 5 years, and we're doing our planning for the next few years to see what we're going to do. But so we support leaders that work in neighborhoods with kids and families, doing things like after school care programs, summer camps. Some of them, actually, there's a couple that have started schools. There's a few churches. There's a lot of them that are doing like some medical stuff, some housing stuff. So kind of what they do in their neighborhood has a little bit of variance. But the fact is, most of the people that live and serve in the neighborhoods don't last very long. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And so we support them. We do a lot of training, coaching. We do counseling. A lot of marriages are under stress, so we have marriage counseling. We do retreats, help them develop their boards, help them develop their funding. So that is my main thing at Desire Street. Separately, we started the Wuerffel Foundation, and we also support Desire Street in a number of ways. We support other nonprofit leaders. So a lot of college athletes now making money are starting foundations. So we've been a resource to help a lot of them get started. And then our big kind of project at the Wuerffel Foundation is the College Football Award for Community Service, which is called the Heisman Trophy. It was named after me, and so we have that in the foundation now. We had 111 nominees from Division I football programs last year, and we picked up our new sponsor, so it's now the All-State Wuerffel Trophy. We've got one of the biggest corporate brands in college football now as our title sponsor.
Awesome.
And we have votes throughout the year, and we end up selecting one winner. But get to tell the stories of people that have embraced a lot of what we've talked about. They're excellent on the field. They're doing what they need to do, but they're just logging countless hours of community service. And so just really excited about both Desire Street, really excited about the Wuerffel Foundation and all the work that we're doing there. And I'm starting to be distracted, not just by the shirt, but it's like half unbuttoned. Like it's
just now
really
seeing that.
unbuttoned all the way down. Like I was trying not to notice that.
Hey, you did very well for this long to not let it bug you.
I mean, he's a good daddy.
He's a good daddy. Hey, his son is here, and I don't know. You know, we talk about voices that you remember in your childhood. I don't know if it would be fair to ask Judd if he's heard that. Who's your daddy? Maybe around the house or not. But if I ever hear that, I'm going to picture this guy in a chain with some kind of material on him.
Listen, this is going to be a new thing. I'm just going to wear a new neat shirt every single
He also
podcast.
did the accent so well.
Listen,
That's
Well, he
scary.
hears it all the time.
did you guys
It's
know
following.
I speak Russian? Did you know that?
9.
We heard a little bit about it.
9.
Do
Say
tell
something in
more.
Russian.
Меня зовут Brett.
Aufsuchen, Brandfall nicht benutzen.
That's German, right?
Yeah, you're right.
That's pretty good.
I'm like,
I had no
pull that
idea
one
what
off.
you said.
Sounded pretty good to me.
Do you speak Colombian?
Hola. ¿Cómo estás, papi?
Okay, so talk to us about Jamie. I overheard an over 60 pickleball league that Danny started.
Yeah, Danny's been super successful in athletics, and he finally found a league that he can be successful still at his age. Over 60 pickleball. Let's tell us how you've leveraged athletics at your age and your physical condition.
How does it feel to be your age and get your butt beat by somebody that you're making fun of their age?
The good news is I've had 40 years of unsuccessful athletics. So I feel really good where I'm at. Nothing's really changed. It's not because I'm not trying. Same with entrepreneurship. You guys listening, if you really need some help and some guidance and maybe some coaching on how to break even in businesses, then I'm your guy. That's what we do. Break even, subpar athletics, but we have a good time along the way.
Break even business should be your new
That's a
podcast
great idea.
title.
Yeah.
Guys, if you want to really put the effort out there to be as break even as possible, there is some good business tactics out there that are above break even.
Yeah.
But I think you're on the wrong channel. I mean, there's nothing that I could do to correct that. And it's not from not trying or dedicating or success or guidance or what's the other word we talked about? Significance.
Significance. That's right.
I'm not very significant, but I'm trying to be successful and I'm trying to be significant and I'm going to keep doing that. And you know, those voices that you have, I'm kind of empty. I need some voices. I really need some good things in life to lift me up above that mediocre line.
Well, we're trying, you know.
But anyways, in all seriousness, let's talk about a little bit about leveraging athletics now in your life. And pickleball, obviously very successful at pickleball. You are playing in a professional league and had some good
50 plus.
Yeah,
Let's-
50
it's
plus.
not
50
60
plus. But let's
50
talk a little
plus.
bit about, entrepreneurship with athletics, golf, pickleball for relationships, raising money or raising awareness. Talk to us a little bit about what you're using now and what that's doing for the foundation and for all the other things you're doing.
Yeah, well, like a lot of people, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the country. And even the guy, when we got off the plane today, was talking about playing pickleball and how much fun and community he gets from that. And so I've just loved it. I've always loved sports. When I wasn't training to play football or basketball, I was playing tennis or ping pong or racquetball. So I had a lot of kind of paddle racket experience. And so I just love the game. The game is a fantastic game. And there is a pro leagues for people over 50. So I was drafted by Denver, and I play for the Denver Iconics on the Senior Pro Tour, the National Pickleball League. And love it. It's super fun. But as you mentioned, for the foundation, we're always trying to find creative ways to get attention and to raise money. And so we started something called the Pickle Bowl. So you got the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl. With the Pickle Bowl is a celebrity pro-am where we have different celebrities and professional players teamed up, and we've done a lot of different iterations of it.
Does that coincide like in January, into December, or when do you guys do it in the calendar
It's
year?
been in different times of the year, but during football season, the last one we did, though, we did a Heisman version in New York with the Heisman winners the day that they gave out the Heisman Trophy.
Cool.
So we're doing that again this year. We're going to have the Heisman Pickleball Heisman edition, and that'll be the one we're doing. But just the relationships that we've met, the people that want to be involved, people paying to be a part of that. And there's a lot of groups trying to figure out how to do pickleball fundraisers now. Golf has been like the main way groups raise money, but now they're cracking into the pickleball market. And so I've been a part of several of those, helping people think through it, and just met so many great people. It's been a very kind of innovative, how do you pull this off in a way that everybody has fun when there's different levels of players. And it's been a great addition to my life, and it gives me a reason to stay in shape and an opportunity to compete, which, that's built in deep in my DNA.
Right.
And so it's been a great blessing.
And I think there was some viral videos going around. Was it Tim Tebow and Cam Newton playing? And it's neat to see the spotlight kind of shift from the golf course was kind of the traditional fundraising and business relationships. But, as time goes by and things change, the amount of time and energy it takes to play a round of golf compared to the social aspect and the quicker interaction and the little less time during the day to interact. And it's neat to see how pickleball has taken on that new shape, and to be able to leverage that for the foundation through some of the athletes that are participating. And it's really neat to see those athletes at a higher level compete and play pickleball. It's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, and this should be encouraging to you, because like the clip you saw of Cam Newton and Tim Tebow, it's pretty interesting. It was a woman that had like 4 to 6 followers, and she got this clip on her phone, and it went viral and had 100 million hits. And so with your 4 or 5 followers, the podcast, that could be an encouragement for you.
So there is hope. And just for you guys listening, there's a reason why we only have 4. It's kind of an exclusive family here.
Yeah, of course.
We limit the followers to 4. Yeah. And it's not that we set a cap. We just haven't had any more requests. But for you guys really want to know, we do try to limit it internally to 4.
Of course, yeah.
And
it goes back to the humility thing, right?
Yeah.
It's okay to fail, guys. Look, you're looking at a guy that's not afraid to fail. I failed a lot, but I will tell you, nothing has been a bigger failure than Brett's shirt.
All right. I think we're going to wrap it up there today, boys.
I'm still really trying to digest that outfit. Did your wife really know that you wore that, or did you have a shirt when you left and then swapped it in the car?
Man.
There's no way she let you out of the house in that thing.
This. No, so like Jamie and I, we spent a lot of time together down in Fort Walton over the past couple winters. My family has come down, and we've stayed in some beach houses and got to hang out, do some work together. But one of the things that I've loved is getting to meet your dad and play pickleball with him. And so, just an amazing guy. And he's a lot nicer than Jamie.
There's 2 things we got to be thankful for. First off, the introduction from John to Danny and Jonah has been amazing. But also, I really like to thank him for his shirt that you're wearing. And if he's watching, this would be a shirt that I think he could probably pull off a little better than you.
Oh, yeah. He'd look great in it.
But no, thank you. It's been fantastic. Danny, thank you for joining us today and sharing your stories. And it's been just a great experience to be here. And Brett, thank you guys for flying down. And this has been fantastic. And for everybody watching, please hit the follow. We'll get back with you whether or not we accept the follow. There's been a lot of requests lately. Well, not really, but there's some that are just waiting to click. I guess waiting on for the invite.
That's right.
But here's your open invite. We do have some spaces available, so please hit the like button, follow us on YouTube, and we appreciate you guys listening.